Stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Those of you familiar with my program have heard me speak often enough about the dangers that Islam poses to the civilized world. I've cited facts, figures, to support what I've said. In this election season of 2016, we have to ask ourselves, what will the results of uncontrolled policies of diversity, political correctness, and multiculturalism be in another generation? I can speculate, but far better that you hear from people who have grown up in a country whose government has embraced Islamization, welcomed large Muslim migrations, and is now constantly working to defend the very people that are abusing its indigenous population. On the September 11th episode of the English Defense League radio program, hosted by Jeff Mitchell, Jeff, panelist Jan Rennie, Kel Fritzy of Red Fox Radio, and myself interviewed a young couple codenamed Michelle and Zach. Before you vote in the 2016 presidential election, I urge you to listen to their story of beatings, abuse, religious persecution, and gang rape. The language is raw. I do not suggest that you allow young children to listen to this program. But what happened to Michelle and Zach is raw in and of itself, and they deserve to be heard.
I'd like to introduce two awesome people that, and of course Michelle, this isn't a real name, we're using pseudonyms. Michelle and Zach, this lady is going to share with you of her experience firsthand with these what we call Islamic slavery gangs. They like to cozy it up with using the word of grooming, but we like to use that true word because that's exactly what we're seeing across this country. With that, welcome Michelle and welcome Zach to the English Defense League radio show. Nice to have you both.
Hi.
You're very welcome, Michelle. I know it's quite nerve-wracking for yourself, Michelle, but don't worry, you're amongst really good friends who care for you. So, Michelle, I'd like to introduce you to a great panel that we've got here. We've got our very own Kel Fritzy. She's the Red Fox blogger of her own radio show. She's an awesome lady. She's doing the producing of the show tonight, an absolutely wonderful lady. Check out the slides. Kel's put some great slides in there tonight, so thanks, Kel, for that. And I'd like to introduce Jan Rennie. She's been within the English Defence League probably longer than myself, a great lady. And, of course, Mr. Dave Milner, our Agador. He's based in the United States and a great panellist as well. So, Michelle, welcome to us all. And I'd like to actually pass it to Jan. Maybe you can share your story with the listeners, okay?
Go ahead, love.
I'm not really sure where to start.
I know it's difficult, love. I understand it's difficult. I have met other ladies that have been through the same traumatic experience as you when I've been at demos. So, yeah, it's difficult. Just pretend we're not here. Just talk away and block us out. We're here, but don't get nervous.
I just find it laughable that they're called grooming gangs, because what they do is not grooming at all. It's rape and torture, and it's terrorism. The experience that I had, I was attacked in broad daylight in the afternoon in a very busy park, and no one did anything. No one stopped it, and afterwards I was followed around for 3 years by these guys. I was constantly intimidated. I was made to feel like my life was in danger all the time. There was absolutely no way that I felt that I could go to the police. And anyway, the police wouldn't have done anything, because after I was attacked, I witnessed another young girl get attacked in the same area. And I chased after the bloke because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And he bit her on the chest. He ripped a chunk out of her chest. And I took her to the hospital. I went down to the police station with her. And when I was interviewed, this fucking woman detective came in, and she had the nerve to tell me that they weren't going to charge him because there was no evidence. And I lost faith in the police that day. So I thought, there's absolutely no way I can go to them because they're not going to do anything. Because these individuals are protected by the people who are meant to be protecting us.
Yeah, we for years now have called it rape jihad rather than grooming because that's what it is. It is a war against ladies of my country and everywhere that these Muslims are. I mean, look at Germany now. What age was you, Michelle, at the time?
I was 15.
Oh my Lord, yeah. And for 3 years,
they ruined my life. They absolutely ruined my life. And now we're living 4 doors away from one of them.
Yeah, 4 doors down.
God Almighty.
Yep, you're here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Go.
No, go ahead, Zach.
Do you want me to fill you in with a bit more of the background, or?
Yes, correct.
Well, this was quite a few years back now, and this happened in the Vale Park in Aylesbury. Summer day, people around. You've got to remember that the brazenness of these fuckers. They'll do this in daylight, in public places. I've witnessed it happen in public places, like the town centre. Again, she witnessed that the other girl, that was in the same park. This park was notorious, because we're going back now, this happened, 2003. When I was with, it's like my first girlfriend, when I was a teenager, she'd been attacked in the same park, and this was 1994. This is how long it's gone on for. I saw this shit in the papers the last 10 years. It's not. It's over 20 years that I know it.
Yep.
Knew it was. We know who the people are. Everyone around here knows them. People know them by sight. They know their names. But nothing gets done. There were 6 that went down for one attack, or these 2 girl victims. It was a show trial. You know, just say, oh, look, we're doing something. They've done fuck all. Because what happened was, with what happened to Michelle, I went to the police, which was the stupidest fucking thing I could have done. I couldn't have done anything more stupid than to go to the police.
Jack, if you don't mind, I'll just start interjecting.
Well,
you did the right thing, my friend. You did the right thing.
Right thing.
Unfortunately, for the political correctness,
they
didn't take notice of you probably and told you to go away, yeah? Did they say to you that they didn't really want to know, because they're so PC, they didn't want to really acknowledge what you was telling them? Is that how it come across?
It was more than not wanting to acknowledge it. It was actively dissuading me from even believing it happened. I went in there with reports from a psychiatrist. Michelle's arms are covered in deep self-harm scars. Her legs.
Oh my God.
This went on for years. I went in there, you know, it's all written down there in a report from the psychiatrist about what happened. No, this one attack, and from what I know of the attack, it was planned. It was planned.
Yeah.
It was just completely senseless, but planned. Because she punched one in the face who tried to mug her a couple of days before. But we all know what it was like when we were kids. They used to mug you, the white kids, the black kids, the Indian kids, all the time. So I went to the police station. I gave a report. And the policewoman, the first question she really wanted to ask me after I told her what happened, it was very difficult. You understand, I was in tears telling her.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
bet
only
she was, mate.
because you've seen this in the news?
Really?
Right.
So they
and I didn't know what to say. I said, well, no, I come in because I know what happened. I want something to be done. But they said, well, if we arrest him for anything, you know, we can ask him if he did it. And I thought, oh, yeah, because he's going to say, yeah, I did that, yeah, well, you know. And I say the guy, he was the leader. He was the one that actually did it. You know, the others were pinning her down, bouncing her head off the floor. Literally, bouncing her fucking...
my God.
Or smacking her about. You know, you've got to bear in mind, this was brutal. She was coughing up blood. Her head cut open. Right? And then, what else did she say to me? She said, oh, they probably won't recognise her. She's just another notch on the belt. This is the fucking copper that said it to me.
Really?
Right to my face.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And they're parked outside staring through the window at her. And they said, oh, you know, well, we can give you a panic button. What the fuck's the point of a panic button? It takes 2 seconds to stab or shoot someone. So what am I supposed to do now? By the time I need to use a panic button, I might as well be ringing the fucking ambulance. But this is the worst fucking thing about it, is nobody gives a shit. You know,
Nobody's
it really
willing to do
angers me.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's a mark on your life you can never erase. And like I said, I've witnessed this. I know this thing's been going on since the fucking 90s. And I know, because I was involved with gangs. And I know who all these, it was always the same ones. It was the Pakistani lads. Always. We all knew who they were. They were always trying to mug you. It was always like 5 of them versus one teenage boy, of course. You know, because they're pussies.
Yeah.
But it was always the same. I'm trying to think of girls I don't know have been attacked, have never been attacked, because it's happened to virtually everyone. It's a fucking huge problem. Everyone knows who's up to what, and no one will do anything about it. It's like they're laughing at you.
So how is Michelle coping now, Zach?
What, right now?
Yeah, her daily life now.
She tries not to think about it, but she has nightmares. It changes you forever.
Yeah, it would do.
You know, it's...
The earliest one I've known of Zach was the girl I met on a demo who was raped back in 1980.
Yeah.
And I was quite shocked it went back as far as that. And, you know, she's a woman now in her 40s, and she is still devastated, still badly affected. Because if you go to social services, psychiatrists, they really understand? Do they really want to get involved? Can they really step out and look in and see the trauma, the nightmare, the everlasting damage it has done to a young girl and yourself, of course?
Well, I don't think they do. I mean, obviously we've never had involvement in social services, but, you know, I went to medical school, and I know social services, it's not a caring profession. It's a law one. If you want to help, you tick the boxes, and they basically go through textbook stuff. They're not there to care. They're not going to really give you any help with anything. But it's the same with police. You know, they're offering you victim support. Well, the victim support is too late. When it's happened, it's too late. This area of town is right around the corner from the mosque, right? It's notorious. Everyone knows what happens in that park. Everyone knows what happens down those streets. It's right by my old school. We used to walk down there. You'd get mugged on the way going down there to town after school, the short walk. You get beaten up. They try to rob you and all sorts of stuff. And nothing was ever done. People are just terrified of them.
I have a question, if you don't mind. Michelle, have you received any counseling over your ordeal? You seem like a fine young lady that's going to overcome this, on your way to overcoming this, but I'm also wondering, are you and Zachary, who is instrumental in helping you overcome this, are you going to be receiving, or have you received any financial compensation because of the negligence of the government for allowing this to happen to you?
That would never happen, because unfortunately the individual who assaulted me has got some rather powerful people behind him. His brother is, and he's a Labour MP, Lib Dem MP, sorry, candidate, in our area. So he would quite happily make it go away. So if I went to the papers, if I'd gone to the police, if I'd tried to claim any kind of compensation from anywhere, it would be stopped because of who he is and the power that he happens to have behind him. It's going to take a long time to stop, because every single person who is on the left, or these freaking regressive arseholes, they basically give these people a green card to go ahead and do whatever the hell they want. You know, there are imams speaking out about how girls are easy meat. You know, as if we're a side of beef that they can just string up and pound whenever they feel like it. It's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that police officers will even turn around and say, oh, you know, they're probably not even going to remember her because she's just a notch on their belt, as if it's nothing. You know, this ruined my life. I live in fear because I'm scared that if they recognise me or they find out where I am, that they're going to come back. I'm terrified. absolutely terrified. I'm scared of letting my children go out and play in case it happens to them. I'm absolutely terrified of what could happen. It's like if I'm alone, if Zach's out, all the doors are locked. I have all the doors locked. I have my phone in my hand just in case anything happens because one of them lives down the street. I'm terrified of it. It's a horrible feeling to have that these animals, and that's what they are, they're animals, that they've got this power over people. They don't even deserve the title of human because they're not. They treat people like absolute shit and they don't deserve anything. I know that there's good people out there, but none of them are coming forward saying that what these other individuals are doing is wrong. And that's the part that upsets me the most, is that there are no Muslims standing out and saying, we've got to stop this. We have a problem in our community, and they're not doing anything about it.
Can you just imagine, Michelle, the human cry if one Muslim girl was raped by one of our indigenous people in the UK?
They'd be riots, going mad.
Exactly.
They would shut down towns because they'd be going mental because they want this person's head. But no, some girl's just going to attack. Nah, that doesn't matter. It's only a girl. Fuck them. They don't matter.
Yeah.
It's easy meat.
Are there any groups? Are there any groups out there because we know that we have thousands, if not 1 million girls in the UK that have been raped by these jihadis? Are there any groups, support groups, for you all to get together? Is anyone financing or even starting up these support groups in any of the towns?
No one would ever do that because we don't matter.
All you've basically got is Rape Crisis, but that's a feminist organisation. And to them it's about triarch and all this brainwashing shit that has nothing to do with it. There's literally nothing there. It's not even the support, it's just the fact of being taken seriously or believed. Somebody asked, this question, what have they ever done? And I reeled off a list of things, and all I get told by some left is, oh, you're lying. Well, I'm not lying.
You see, this is the problem.
It's unbelievable that people just want to pretend it's not even happening. And when they do that,
whichever way you turn.
Exactly.
You see, this is the problem we've got, is social services.
Exactly,
social services are complete left wing. Exactly. They are left wing. Therefore, they support the Muslims.
You've got this religious divide, because we have it all the time, anti-Semitic abuse thrown at us. Just walking down the street. It doesn't even make sense, we're walking along with the children are young. They're shouting Free Palestine at me, and I'm thinking, I've never even been there, I don't know English. Why are you telling me about something going on somewhere else? And it's the same with left people I talk to, they're always going on about Israel, to me, and I don't even understand why. Any argument we have, it can be completely unrated, and as soon as I say something, they're going about Israel, I'm not Israeli. Why are you telling me that? Oh, you're just picking on the Jewish kid. That's literally what that happens on the left. I see it all the fucking time. They hate you. I mean, it's like someone said before, this guy I know, he's a rabbi. And he said, the English people get beaten up, we'll get killed. We don't speak out because we're small, we'll get killed and no one will do anything. It's not even a problem. It's not a problem for the far right or the far left, obviously, because they're all nuts. But it's not a problem for government either, who are supposed to be secular. They're supposed to be centre-right, centre-left. They're not. They're just full of their own bullshit. They
just haven't got a clue, Zach. And Bob in the chat room has said to point out that we do have guys who are doing prison sentences now from the EDL and other right-wing groups that know all about this rape jihad, and they are serving sentences. I'd also like to bring up that stupid mayor MC, I know she means well, the one in Telford, who now wants an inquiry the same as Rotherham. Well, the last thing we need is an inquiry dealt with but the same as Rotherham, because that was a total disaster and cover-up. We are dealing here with everyone who's in authority is either political correct to the point of madness or they're left-wing. And someone like Michelle, a victim of rape jihad, must find it very difficult trying to speak and get some kind of help when the only people she's talking to are these same people who support Muslims, Islamists, and therefore their first thing that comes into their head is racism.
Politicians only have inquiries to work out how they can excuse it. Not to find out anything that happened, not to get the truth. It's just to find excuses. How can we explain this one? Oh, we'll have an inquiry, and then it's whitewashed. It happens with everything. You know, the problem we've got is, you know, I know this thing. The police keep getting the blame for it, but you see, I've known coppers all my life, and it's the CPS. It ain't the police. It's the CPS. The CPS refuse to press charges, so they tell me, "Oh, there's no evidence." As soon as they see the name come up, they go, "Oh, look, it's Pakistani name. There's no evidence." So the coppers, I mean, I've spoken to coppers that literally have told me they want them dead. Police officers have told me this in various different places.
Well, that's what they say. They can get them charged, but they can't get them in the court. Jeff, would you like to have a talk with
There's not even a charge there. There's not even an arrest made. It's just a little chit-chat. They know they can't get anything out of them. They know witnesses
I was going to say, Zach...
Michelle, they get intimidated. You know?
Yeah. I was going to say, Zach, the thing is, ourselves, the organisation, the EDL, we're there for you. We do understand. And we will fight in your corner. There's no doubt about it. We know, I can't say that we've experienced what their wife experienced, Michelle, to come onto the show tonight, and yourself, Zach, and to share what's going on. This is what we talk about week in, week out. And for you both to come here tonight and share some of the things that you've been through, you're awesome people. And we will be there for you. You know, Gary, good lad, we're there for you, and we'll do anything we possibly can to try to make your life a lot easier than what you're going through. We will make the change in the future, guarantee it. Because it really pisses me off to think two lovely people like yourself are going through this hell. Guys who's listening in, think about it. Zach lives it every day, and so does Michelle. Michelle's worried to go out because of kids, or let her kids out. Think about it, guys. This is happening.
We're worried about kids.
Zach. Sorry.
Because it just moved, so kids go to a new school. But the primary school they went to before is happening there. It's happening in a primary school. The kids are doing it. We know this. We know parent governors. We know it's happening. It's not in the papers, but we know it's happening. The parents talk about it. There's still this veil of secrecy. They're literally, the young kids are doing it. Because I've explained this to people before. You know, I have a different upbringing. A lot of people, well, not a different upbringing. You know, my parents are very hard-working people that bought their own house and stuff. But I went off the rails when I was a kid because we used to get mugged and stopped by them. So from about 14, I got involved with hard cases and gangs. You know, I've seen a different side of it, and I know that there's a rampant gang culture there. There's no other word for it. It's a rampant gang culture. And a lot of people just do not understand what is really going on in these communities. They paint this picture. I've had this conversation with left-wingers all the time. Oh, no, it's nothing to do with it. I said, yeah, it is. These gang members are fucking racist. They're as racist as them. They're like the KKK. They are seriously racist. They don't like white people. They don't like black people. They don't like Indians. They don't like anyone who's the out-group. It's like collectivism. They just do not like the out-group. The out-group are evil. And they're supreme. It's a supremacist movement. That's what a lot of gangs, I was involved with gangs. Gangs believe that the sun shines out their own arse and they're invincible. And in their case, they're right because they're being protected.
I think that Dave Milner would like to have a conversation with you and Michelle Zachary. Yeah. And Dave, you've been listening to what Zachary and Michelle have been relating. What are your thoughts and what are your conveyances to Zachary and Michelle there, Dave?
Right. Well, first, Michelle and Zach, I'd like to welcome you to the program. I didn't get a chance before, but I want to ask you one important question after I make this observation. Zach, you talk about how these Muslims are a lot like the KKK, and that struck a chord in me because Jeff and Jan and Cal have heard me make this analogy before myself. They're very much like them. A small, an incident that happened a few years ago. A young English gentleman, his mother would not agree to a Muslim's advances in a pub, and that night they found their home attacked in exactly the same way the Klan used to attack the homes of black Americans when they were trying to intimidate them. I mean, it was exactly the same thing. So that struck a chord with me, Zach. And Michelle, I want to ask you this question in particular because so much has been out of your control concerning all of this, and I want this to be completely in your control. I would like to take this segment of this program and rebroadcast it on my program, The Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I can tell you that it will also be rebroadcast on several other shows here in the United States of America because I have been pushing this narrative for some time because people in my country need to understand that this is a very real thing that happens whenever Muslims get within a certain population range. It is what they do to everyone around them, regardless of their race or color or anything or whatever country they're in. To me, this is a very important thing. And, Michelle, I want to give you the control of this one and ask for your permission to rebroadcast this. And with that, I'll put it back to Jan.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got no problem with that at all. People need to be aware of what's going on.
I want to add something to that, actually, because I've heard this before. A lot of people have said this. When Muslims, and I have to stop there because there's one thing I've noticed about different gangs. It's more like cultural and nationalism as well. You know, these Pakistani gangs don't get on with other Muslims at all. You know, you'll find that, you know, here you'll never hear about, say, Iranians doing things like this, and they don't like each other. You'll notice that all the gang members speak Urdu or Punjabi. There's that language thing. You find it in a lot of gangs. You find it with, you know, you have the Italian mafia, the Russian mafia, stuff like this. There's always an ethnic dimension or a cultural dimension or a collectivist dimension to gangs. Like I said, I grew up with gangs in a lot of places, not just in Aylesbury, Peterborough, High Wycombe, Milton Keynes, Birmingham, all these sort of places. They're very exclusionary. All gangs have a supremacist nature, but theirs is, well, you put it this way. They don't drive around with Islamic things dangling in their car. They have Pakistani flags. It tells you something about the mindset there. They'll tell you they're Pakistani. Their grandmothers were born here, but they'll tell you they're Pakistani. That's a lot to do with their supremacy as well. You know, there's various people they don't get on with. And it's not just the separation of different types of Muslims. There's a nationalist culture there, and it's a gang culture, which is, well, like I say, you know, in gangs, how do I know I can trust you? Well, you've got the same background as me. We've got something in common. You see this when you get immigrant gangs across the world. You know, gangsters living in Spain from Britain and stuff. They share something. People become insha. And that's a very important point that has to be said. You know, the whole focus just on religion, it's more divisive than that.
I do have a question for you, Zach and Michelle. Now, this issue has been going on for over 20 years in the United Kingdom, and there was an issue with the Home Affairs Select Committee in that they put a report together and admitted that there was indeed an issue with, like I say, I don't like to call them sex grooming gangs. Michelle is not something to be groomed. She's a young lady to be cherished. But they put this report together, especially in Rotherham. They knew that this was going on. The authorities knew that this was going on within the Pakistani so-called community, and they failed to act upon it. Now, this is what I mean, though. In light of this report coming out, and that they admitted these crimes had been going on for, well, over 20 years, there is no compensation for the young ladies subject to it. I find this absolutely appalling, and we're still dealing with the issue of the echoance to the Muslim in these communities, whether it be Rotherham or Rochdale, wherever these crimes are being conducted. There is still echoance to the Islamic community, and quite frankly, we are at wit's end as to how to control it on our own end. When we do try to control it, we're the ones who are jailed. Jan alluded to what happens to members of the English Defence League who try to speak out against it, and they are jailed. And not only jailed, but innocuous events in which they engage, they are targeted and harassed by our very own legal and judicial authorities. It is appalling to me. This has been going on for so many years, yet nothing, it seems, is being done about it. And Zachary, you alluded to that, and Michelle, you did as well, and that we have many, many miles of road ahead of us to ensure this stops, full stop. And back to you.
I think it's funny how you say that, when the EDL try to speak out about this, that they're the ones that get into trouble. I remember back in 2010 when the EDL did a rally in Aylesbury. I was driving in my car to actually go into Aylesbury. I didn't realise that there was a rally on at the time. And my car was attacked by Unite Against Fascism. Yeah, Antifa, or whoever it was at the time. My car was attacked by these thugs because they assumed that because I had a St. George's cross on my car, that I was a member of the EDL, and they attacked my car. I had my 16-month-old daughter in the car, and I was pregnant at the time. These people, I think, are quite possibly the worst out of everyone because I see them as traitors to British people because they are supporting rape jihad in every way. They're not supporting the victims, they are supporting the perpetrators of these crimes. They are giving them the green card to carry on doing it. And that, I think, is awful, because I've heard so many people say, how can you support the EDL because they're just racist and they hate everybody. It's like, no, they're not racist. They don't hate everybody. They're speaking out about a very big issue. The fact that these fucking rape gangs they're up and down the country, they're in every major city. Wouldn't surprise me if they're in little towns as well.
And they're people like us.
Exactly.
But because they're not Richard Dawkins, they're not so eloquent at times, and they haven't got an Oxbridge education, that makes you a racist thug. It's like being attacked by U.S.A. and Antifa. These people call themselves anti-fascists. They want to ban free speech. They're authoritarian. You don't get more fascist than them. And all the time you have to listen to this hypocritical horseshit that comes out of their mouth. They're stamping it down on fascism. No, you're not. You're not even having a conversation. The left have lost it. I mean, it's annoying for people like me. I remember seeing Banksy talk. They're saying he's a liberal. I'm a liberal. So I believe in free speech, free expression, being able to criticise things. They don't. They're fascists. And then they turn around and anyone they oppose is suddenly the fascist. And I know it's like the word racist. I get called it all the time, for all sorts of things that have nothing to do with race whatsoever. And I've got all my Asian and black friends saying, he's not racist, this is stupid. But no, other people, once you've got the tag, you never get rid of it. Once you've been labelled that, it's a shaming tactic used by the authoritarian left. It stays with you forever. That's your identity to them. And that therefore gives them free rein to attack you whenever they want. They use that as their whole basis for you being wrong because they've declared that you're racist. It's fucking disgusting.
And Jen, I bet you have a lot to say about that.
Well, the thing is, Zach, and we have got people like Bill Warner, etc., authorities on Islam. They are scholars of Islam, and they have always said, as long as we have got liberals, lefties, UAF, Antifa, whatever, in control of our countries, then we will never eradicate the Islamic problem, specifically rape jihad, because they have the lefties on their side. The lefties are in every corner of our councils, our parliament. They are everywhere. And until we get a good government in power, nothing is going to change because of it. We've got to get rid of political correctness. Now, let's just hope this change in Brexit, the fact that we're getting away from the European market, the European control, let's hope the next step is we get more sensible people within our government who will turn this around. Like the US, let's hope it all turns around.
Ordinary people have actually been listened to for once, instead of the left wing, who are all very, very entitled, spoiled people, and they're, of course, telling you you're racist because you voted to come out, or you're evil floating to come out. I remember people, it was all over Facebook. Oh, what have you guys done? And one bloke said, we made a democratic decision. What's wrong with that? You know, the whole narrative is wrong. Everything about this is wrong. You don't have to be a genius to see it. Anyone can see it, but nobody is brave enough to even acknowledge it anymore. People are terrified. They're terrified of, I'm going to be called racist or Islamophobic or whatever other fucking word wants to come out. You know, some new term. This is a way we can shame people. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But there's something else, actually. I mentioned a while ago about, you know, Elio being arrested and stuff like this. When I did make that report to the police, I was left with a warning that if anything happened to the guy, I'd be the first one arrested. Nothing will happen to him for what he's done.
Right.
But she said, if he turns up with 2 broken legs, you're getting nicked. You couldn't make this shit up. What do they expect me to do?
No. They find the evidence then, Zach. They find the evidence then, don't they? They can't find evidence about him biting a hole in a girl's chest that Michelle witnessed and helped the girl with. They can't find that evidence, but they would surely find evidence of one of them getting his face cracked open. You know?
Worst thing for me is about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, a friend of mine, friend of ours, friend of my brother, he went down for a rape that didn't even happen. He's on the sex offenders register for life for a rape that never even happened. And we know it didn't happen. The girl's been around bragging about it. She's a drug edge. She's been abusing their kids, sexually abusing the kids. They've been taken off of her. He's the one in prison. She's never been touched. Oh, look, you know, a horrible rapist. And you think, well, why aren't they given... Why is this equality not working? Why isn't it being applied? He's there for years, and he's on a sex offenders register for life. And she got a 5-figure settlement compensation for something that never even happened. And the terribly about this rape that he got convicted was, we were at the court. He's convicted of, during a blowjob, holding her head for 10 seconds when she wanted to stop. That's enough for 5 years in life on a sex offenders register. And it didn't even happen. She's bragged about how she stitched him up. But she's also done this to her stepdad and her stepbrother, made false accusations. So it's come back line. One of the counts was even thrown out in court. It was impossible to have happened. She was found lying on the stand, still convicted. But these guys will never even be charged. There's something very wrong with our justice system. It's a joke.
It is. It's shocking. I'd like to thank you both. I'll hand you back to Jeff. It has been really good speaking to you, Zach and Michelle. May God bless you, and I do hope things get better for you. And there's an old saying, look back but don't stare. Get on with your lives, look forward, and have a happy life together.
Thank you.
For that.
Thank you, Jan. Michelle and Zach, we would like you to come back to the show and speak maybe about some other things, because this is so important tonight. Michelle, I've got to thank you for being brave tonight and coming on the show, because it's very hard to share with people some of these terrible experiences that you've gone through. But what you're doing is what we've been doing for many years, speaking out about people like yourself, victims out there who's had to go through these most horrific things. And I've got to thank you for coming onto the show and sharing what's happened in your life and how it's affecting you even today. And Zach, you've been awesome tonight, buddy. I hope you and Michelle come back. And you know, we, the English Defence League, our organisation, we're there for you. And we will support you in any way that we can, my dear, dear friends. We hate to think that you, Michelle, and you, Zach, are having to suffer through this ineptness in our government, political policing, PC, you name it. They're in trouble with ourselves, with the English Defence League, ourselves. We know because we get it from all sides, and we're not going to go nowhere. And if this is what it's about, to talk about the victims, people like yourself, Michelle, and yourself, Zach, because you're as much of it. what your dear wife has been going through, and yourself, buddy, this is hard, isn't it, mate? This is hard. But I've got to thank you both. Will you please come back and with us again, because you've been absolutely awesome people tonight. We love you so much, and that's Bob Evans said, tell Michelle and Zach we love you, and we're there for you. Okay, guys?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to say that it has been an honor and a pleasure to speak with both of you, Zachary and Michelle. And I don't know if you can see the chat room, but what accompanies our format is that we're able to put up picture slides accompanying our show notes. And Michelle, I put up a special one for you. It's a portrait of a unicorn. And unicorns are magical, mystical, and inspiring. And I put that one up just for you, Michelle.
Thank you. That's really lovely.
It's an honor to speak with you once again. God bless you, and let's speak soon again.
I certainly will, yeah. I've got a lot I can tell you just about this town. The corruption, the gangs, over 20 years of it. Of experience, there's a lot that happens here. When people talk about Rotherham, Rochdale, it's like the tip of the iceberg. They're show trials, showing they're doing something about it, but everyone knows how rampant it all is. How common it is, how much there is. And I could fill a library with all this stuff. It's unreal.
Well, this is what I'm saying, Zach. Will you come back maybe in a couple of weeks' time or so, or 2 or 3 weeks, yourself, Michelle, and be a part of our show again? Because there's probably lots of things that we'd like to go over with the pair of you. So, would you come back again and join us? You've been awesome tonight. Thank you so much, guys.
It's very nerve-wracking, but it's very good to get it out there.
It certainly
Sharing
is.
It's a load of.
This is what this platform, the English Defence League radio show, is your platform. So, you wouldn't say anything. You come on the show and you say, and Zach, I hope you can come back yourself as well, buddy. Michelle, you come back. If there's anything more that you need to talk about, please come back and talk to us, okay?
Yeah, I will do. I'll look you up, mate. We'll have to keep in touch.
No, certainly, mate.
Take care,
well, God bless you both. Got to thank you both for being here and sharing some of the most. So many people are going to be talking about what Michelle and yourself have been saying tonight, Zach. So thank you so much. But God bless you both, and you take care of yourself and each other. And anytime you need us, we're here. The EDL's here. We're not going nowhere, mate. We're here for you, and Michelle. Okay. God bless you both of you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, both.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I'm just saying, once again, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've been talking to Michelle and Zach, and very harrowing for these lovely people that's come in and shared, and nerve-wracking as well, must have been for them. But it's got to be out there, guys. It's what we talk about all the time. Jan, you've talked to other ladies that's gone through similar things, but to actually have Michelle come on and actually share with our listeners, it just puts it in a true perspective of the evilness out there, this ideology that is creating absolutely chaos amongst our society and our good people out there.
Michelle, Zach, and their fellow countrymen live with the kind of abuse you just heard about every day of their lives. In the United Kingdom, this is not an exception. It's become the rule. And not only is their government not doing anything about it beyond a few show trials, they are penalizing their own people for defending themselves. I want to commend Michelle and Zach for their appearance on EDL Radio, because they know that they risk violence to themselves, and they know that the government of the United Kingdom will do little or nothing to those Muslims who would do them harm. And for those of you out there who think that this still is not an issue that the United States should be paying attention to, on Friday, September the 16th, the German Federal Statistics Office released a report. While they show 21% of the total population currently have a quote-unquote migrant background, they are disproportionately represented in the younger age groups. Still don't think there's a problem? 1 in 3 people aged under 18 who are in Germany now have foreign roots, and that figure jumps to 36% of people under the age of 5. being fathered by Muslim migrants. In a generation, they will be of voting age, and Sharia will be the rule in Germany unless something drastic is done. Now, am I telling you that a vote for Donald Trump will stop a similar thing from happening in the United States of America? No. But it will at least be a step towards slowing it down and open up the door for possible action that will force those Muslims in our country to either assimilate or move to a predominantly Muslim country. The problem is real. The threat is real. And on November the 8th, 2016, the choice will be yours. That's it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2016 Anno Domini.